What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another exciting episode of the Unlockables podcast, the story of video games, the people who play them, and the memories made along the way. As always, I am your host, Eric, and I'd like to thank you so much for tuning in this week. Wherever, whenever in time and space you might be located, it means so much to me that you'd be willing to spend a little bit of your hard-earned time listening to what I have to say. Now that the boring intro is out of the way, let's bring in my guests, because I have two really fantastic guests on the show today, continuing the incredibly rich tradition on the Unlockables podcast of having epic dynamic duos on the show. And I really have to thank these guys in particular because they dive into the depths, the dregs of Xbox Game Pass to let us know what is worth playing, what is worth our time. And it's a service that I really, really appreciate them for doing the Lord's work. I have on the show today Tom and Chris of 1 Hour, One Decision. Guys, how you doing today?
Doing all right. How are you doing, Eric?
Doing great now that I have you guys on here. I really appreciate it. Like I said, it's always interesting to try and carve out a little bit of time at the end of the day to do these shows. But the fact that you guys are here and I don't have to do as much work this episode because you guys are here. So I really appreciate you guys being on. But before we get started, I always
do the heavy lifting for you.
Nobody wants to hear me, so that's why I made it mostly a guest-related show, so I don't have to do as much talking. But before we get started today, I always like to do a little bit of an icebreaker and just kind of ask you guys, what have you been playing lately?
I'll let Tom go first.
Okay. So as you basically know, we play these games for our show, and that tends to make up the bulk of what I play. But I do also play a fair amount of Nintendo stuff just because that's what I'm born and raised with.
Absolutely.
So I pretty recently 100%ed the new Kirby game. And I also finally finished Legends Arceus, which has been a thorn in my side for a while because I don't very much enjoy it, but I needed to finish it before the next one came out. So here we are.
Absolutely. I can feel that for sure. Chris, what have you been up to, my man?
Yeah, like Tom said, we are going through a bunch of games. I just finished The Forgotten City. That was a pretty cool game. And I didn't want to like this game, but I'm starting to Death Stranding.
Oh, yes.
I was constantly making fun of this game. I was like, oh, what is this? This is just a dumb walking simulator. What the hell's the point of this? This was FedEx. A job training interview or whatever. But I ended up playing. I was like, that's the most appealing part of the game. It's actually, I skipped through the entire story. It's actually just traversing the world that I found interesting in this game. So yeah, I've been playing a little bit of that, and then I finally jumped back into Cyberpunk 2077 again.
Oh yes.
So 1.6 patch dropped, and I'm playing it again, and I'm trying to play it as sneaky as possible. So.
Oh, yes. So I have to ask because I have not heard much on the Cyberpunk front other than like the big hoopla around when it was first released. Has that game gotten any better from the point they released it to now with these new patches? Because I've heard in the last couple of days, new patch, new DLC coming. So obviously there's still some life in this game. Has it improved by any metric at all?
I'm still so early in the game. I haven't beaten it yet. I haven't even beaten it since the beginning. Like I when it first came out, I played it for a couple hours and I was like, let me put it down. It's like I mean the PC version for the most part is fine. What's interesting is I feel like I see more bugs now. Like I was just finishing up a mission, and I like in the horizon of like of the street, I could see some guy like popping out of a car and then jumping back in.
Oh no.
Just like floating back. I was like, oh, okay, this is happening now. So, but I never really had any problems like bug wise or stuff like that. But I just felt like, especially with the experience, like, Witcher 3 had a lot of issues in the beginning too.
Right.
And then I waited around and I played it after that, and it was great. Like I loved it. I mean, it's probably one of my favorite games in like the more recent generation of games.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
And that's what I'm hoping. I mean, as long as they don't like just can this, and I don't think they will. I think at this point they're in it to win it. I hope.
Right.
Even though apparently they dropped like what 25% in market value or something like that, like the company.
Oof,
so
I was not aware. That's rough.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, but I hope that whoever's still left over there is hoping to make a quality game, and it still is. It's still a very pretty game. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, but some weird quirkiness. But it's an open world game, so you're going to have those things here and there. So
right. Well, I think there's a certain level of quirkiness with any video game. I would say that you get. I mean, I love the Fallout and Skyrim series, and some of those are the most janky games that you'll ever play, and people still love them. So, yeah. I mean, I don't think like some people popping out here and there is not really that big of a deal. So,
right.
And I think it's really easy, in hindsight, looking back at that, to like dogpile on a situation that is bad and make it seem like out of control. So, yeah, I'm sure they're doing that game justice. I mean, I'm hoping it gets the No Man's Sky treatment and just becomes really, really, really great and really popular afterwards, because they certainly put a lot of work into that game, and it would be nice for it to be successful and booster everyone's confidence before that at, the Witcher 4 that is inevitably coming. So, but yeah, that's great, guys. Myself, just to update the crowd or whoever listens on what I've been doing. No more Kingdom Hearts. Thankfully, I'm taking a little bit of a break from that, beating the first one, and much needed break to recharge before I dive into the next one in the series for the show. Most of my time has been consumed. I'm on my yearly obsessive spiral downwards into Roller Coaster Tycoon. It happens inevitably once a year that I reinstall it from Steam, the one from like 1990, whenever. And I just play it obsessively for hours on end. It's inevitable. It happens every year. And it just so happens to be happening now. So, been on that. I don't need to talk too much about that. Everyone knows what Roller Coaster Tycoon is. Make a theme park, make your guests happy, or torment them, whatever you want to do. You are a benevolent or malevolent god in that game. And it's up to you to do whatever you wish. But with that stuff out of the way, I'm not playing too much other stuff. If there's no objection from you guys, I'd like to start and dive into talking about the show and what you guys do as a podcast. If that's cool with you guys.
Sure.
To start off, you guys host a show called 1 Hour, 1 Decision. It's a fantastic show where, like I said at the top of the episode, you explore the depths of Xbox Game Pass and sometimes take viewer requests, sometimes let fate decide what you guys will be playing from week to week. So I just kind of want to know, where did you guys come up with such an awesome idea, first of all? And what is the epic origins of Chris and Tom? How did this all come together?
How far back do you want to go?
I've got time, so as much story as you want to tell me, let's go for it.
All right, we'll jump the gun a little bit because you gave us a little bit of an outline of some questions you're going to ask us. So I'm going to answer one of those kind of preemptively because it's part of this.
Absolutely. The outline is not God. We can do whatever we want here.
Sure. So Chris and I met and became friends when we went to college together.
Nice.
And it was many, many, many years ago now. And
back in the good old days.
Yeah, back in the day. While we were there, a friend of mine approached me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in doing college radio?" And I had never really given it much thought, but I like music a lot, and the idea of being basically a DJ sounded kind of cool.
Right.
But I didn't want to do it by myself. So I asked Chris, hey, like, would you be interested in doing this, thing with me, and having a radio show? And yeah, I mean, that's basically how we started, like recording, content together, was hosting a radio show together in college, which we very creatively called the Tom and Chris Show.
Yeah, we were so good at that time.
That's incredible.
I mean, the concept was still pretty cool, though. We did requests, we did themes,
we did
and stuff like that.
Some of the underlying, I think, things of 1 Hour One Decision do live in that place, right?
Yeah.
Not knowing exactly what kind of content you're going to be working with every episode, asking your audience to give you stuff to play, and then hoping that it's good, right? Like subjecting everybody else to that content without any kind of a review process beforehand. That lives in 1 Hour One Decision, and was there, from the jump with the Tom and Chris Show. But we did that for, I don't know, what, 2 years, Chris, I want to say.
Yeah.
Wow.
Every week, Wednesday nights at 10 o'clock. So if you're curious why this show, 1 Hour One Decision, airs, goes live at that time, it's an homage to our radio show.
That's very cool. Is there any kind of, I've never actually gotten to talk to anybody that's worked in radio in any capacity, and I've always just podcasted, so it's a pre-recorded medium. Is there any, like, I'm kind of switching up the outline here, but just asking from your guys' experience, Is there any kind of like similarity between doing something for like radio versus a podcast? I mean, obviously you said some of those elements made it into your show, but, so were you guys like live at 10 o'clock, like live on the air, like everything kind of?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. So
yeah,
we were a live show. We learned how to use the dump button very quickly. So
yeah.
So is that like, again,
sorry.
if you just explain that a little bit, like, so dump button, is that like something you can like press to like get rid of something if you set it on the air or something like that, or?
Yeah, essentially, is it 5 seconds or?
Yeah. You
5 second scrub.
You start with the 5 second delay.
Okay.
And as you're going, if somebody drops a word that they're not supposed to drop or something like that, you hit that button and it'll dump. I think I don't know if it was a second or something like that. Like, you had a certain amount of time, and so you had a finite amount of uses of this tool that you had at your disposal. And once they were up, I mean, you were 100% live, and you really had to be careful. So.
Man. So if you like burned all those like right at the start, you're like, oh boy, we're doing the rest of this. Got to be careful. Wow. That's really cool. And now
I think it trained us also not to, I mean, I'd say for the most part, we don't really curse on our show.
Yeah.
And I think it's given us that kind of muscle memory of sorts to be like, let's try not to curse and stuff like that. But I think the other thing is, what else did we do? There were certain words that we couldn't use either.
Yes.
Right? I obviously like the big curse words and stuff like that, but then there was like other ones that I was a little surprised about. I don't know if you remember them, but
yes.
I'm like,
I won't repeat them here, but yes, I do. There's a George Carlin skit, if you want to look it up. That's like the 7 dirty words or something like that. So that's your list of words that's banned on or was at the time banned on the on radio and and then after a certain time. So part of the reason that we were on at 10 o'clock is that put you into something called safe harbor hours, where you wouldn't get an FCC fine if you did. So if we burned through our 5 seconds and then still had a couple, like, nobody was going to beat down the doors of the radio station and try to hit us up for cash.
Oh,
we were on late enough that it was okay.
Even the FCC goes to bed eventually, so that's
exactly.
That's definitely good to know. And the government's not always watching, so commit your wrongdoings at night is basically the message you take away from it.
Just like criminals do, right? I mean, most crime occurs at night for a reason.
Exactly, it's perfect. Well, that kind of went into tied into my next question. I guess that sort of answers it, but I asked about you guys having podcast experience prior to the show. obviously you have radio experience. Was it just the radio experience, or have you tried anything with podcasting before doing 1 Hour One Decision?
We did. We had a very short-lived show before this called Tom and Chris Take On. And again, I think this is another what allowed us to evolve the show to what it is now.
Right.
But the idea was like we would take on whatever form of like geek or nerd culture. And I think we only did one episode. Maybe two.
We did 4.
We did 4? I don't remember.
Oh, nice. There you go.
We did, we talked about Pacific Rim.
Yes.
And it was like around that time that Pacific Rim came out, but like it was a longer format.
Yeah.
And, as we were getting older, like we had a lot more responsibilities and stuff like that. It was just a lot to do that kind of show. And I've never mentioned this before, but when the reason why this show came about was I was actually in the middle. I was like, we had a site up for the Tom and Chris Take On show. And I was like, I don't need this anymore. I'm going to just delete it. And then all of a sudden I get an email from Tom being like, hey, what the hell, man? Like, why did you delete the site? And I was like, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I thought we were just done with it. And then whatever, I kind of brought up the idea like, hey, why don't we just do another podcast? And I had recently gotten Game Pass. And I was like, the thing for me with Game Pass was like, and this is what, 2 years or so ago that I had it. And it was even at that time, it was like overwhelming to me about like how much content there was. And I'm like, oh man, like, what am I going to play? Like, I have all these games to play, but I don't know what to play. And then I was just scrolling down on my PC and I saw the surprise me button. I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. And then I was like, I had one of those like eureka moments or whatever in the shower. And I was like, hey, all right, I'll pitch this idea to Tom. And then we're like, okay, why don't we do this? Like, why don't we like allow this surprise me button to pick the game for us? We play it for an hour, just to keep us in a reasonable time frame of getting to know what a game is or potentially what it is, and then seeing if we would like to play this game or not, or continue to play it rather after the hour. So that was the rules. That was what we set up with, and that's kind of, what are we at? 90. Episode 90 drops today, right? Or is it 91? 90? No, 89. 89 drops today. I'm sorry.
Oh wow.
So yeah, we've been doing that now and going strong. It keeps things simple. Like, and again, the other stipulation was to keep the episodes short. Ideally 22 minutes. Tom's ideal is under 20 minutes. But
these are rules that keep us honest, Chris, right?
Right.
And this is why
absolutely.
We've gotten as far as we've gotten here.
Yeah. So, and we've I got to say, I don't think we've missed like maybe 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
Since we've been putting them out there. But other than that, yeah, we've been pretty consistent, and I'm happy about that. I'm happy that we're consistent.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And that's not always an easy thing to do, is to have that, not only a system to adhere to that kind of dictates what the episodes will be like, but to also have that consistency as well. I mean, you said you've only missed 2 or 3 in your entire time span. Life is just so busy to produce any kind of long content these days. I've missed 3 or 4 episodes this year already, and it's my first year in production. So I think that's great. And yeah, really too, I appreciate your guys' show, because it really does speak to the, hey, like, life is still happening. We don't have a lot of time, but we still want to check out all these games. We still want to put out something that you can easily consume and listen to in a short time period. I mean, so many of our amazing podcaster friends in our circle have shows that are hour and a half, hour 45, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And it's just like, man, I don't know how you guys do it. Like, after I get past an hour, I'm ready to tap out. So,
right.
No, but that's really cool. And I appreciate you sharing that. I've been listening. I'm going to kind of jump around in the outline here, but I've been listening since episode 40. So it'd be a little bit over, like, most of a year now. You guys have been in my life, And one of the things that you guys do at the end of every episode is you decide, hey, do like we want to keep this game in your library, or is it something we're going to pass on? And I don't remember, because I have bad short-term memory, about how many games you guys have said that you want to keep versus how many you want to move on. So just wanted to ask, like, how many of those games you guys actually like keep and actually see through to the end?
Oh, I had a spreadsheet at one point that I was trying to keep
nice.
up of games that we both said yes to, or at least that we would try to keep playing. And that fell to the wayside very quickly. But what I've been trying to do is, especially if it's a game that I've said on the show that I'm going to keep playing, I'll try to at least maybe stream it. And then so I'm keeping myself honest that I am continuing to play this game that I said I was going to play on the show. And yeah, I don't know, Tom, like, what do you think of there really hasn't been that many games, to be perfectly honest, that like I would say that I've gone back and like completed or at least played.
Right.
I'd say maybe 15 to 20 of them.
I think that Chris is probably a lot better at it than I am. You know, I'm the source of a lot of the show needs to be at under an hour. You know, like we got to record like the game. We're only going to play the game for an hour. We're only going to record, you know, have a show that's 20 something minutes. And it's because there is a lot of stuff out of there, and I do want to try a lot of different things. And I really don't want to be nailed down to something. And if I am going to get nailed down to something, it tends to be something that I picked myself and I'm going to dump 100 hours into.
Right.
So like, that's all the time I have. Right. So, I don't end up playing a lot of them, or at least not for very long. Like, I think what I want to convey, I guess at the end of the show, is intent. It's like this is a game that I definitely would like to play some more.
Right.
And I tend to be pretty honest where I go, I don't know if I will. Right. Like the sign for a game for me is, okay, like any game is going to get time. Like I'm playing it, right? Once I've turned it off, do I turn it back on again? Right.
Right.
And if I do, that's a sign that I really liked that game, you know, whatever that game is. But it, like Chris says, it doesn't happen very often. And that, I mean, when you've tasted 89 different flavors of ice cream, you're probably not going and getting all 89 of those flavors again. There's probably like 3 that you really liked, and if you're going to spend money on it or time on it, right? Like you're going to pick the 3 you like best.
So listen, like the plan is, I've already got it planned out here. So when our one decision becomes like world famous, like bigger than Joe Rogan podcast, right? Uh-huh. Then when you're making the money, you can do the complete all of the 1 hour one decision games and just like play them back to back until you finish all of them, and then stream it and then make more money. So
good Lord.
That might take a while, but
there's a lot of games that are like over 100 hours too. And I'm like, oh, I can't.
Oh yeah. Like some of those RPGs would be like, oof, that's kind of rough. Going back to Tom, what you said, obviously tasting 89 different flavors of ice cream, that kind of goes back to an earlier question I had in my outline. Since kind of starting this endeavor, and I think that this goes back to the appeal and usefulness of Xbox Game Pass as a really cool tool to be able to experience a bunch of different types of games, especially for, you know, people like us that find our time at a premium, and, you know, we can't commit to every 100-hour RPG that comes down the pipeline, unfortunately. Would you say being able to experience all these different games thanks to Game Pass has kind of like changed any of your opinions or beliefs or thoughts on games that you thought you like, or stuff that you were like, oh, maybe at first, oh, I don't think I was going to like this, but I actually kind of ended up enjoying it?
Do you have an answer? I'll let you go first, Chris.
Oh, I thought that was directed to Tom.
It's both you guys. Yeah, both you guys. I just like the ice cream analogy because I think about food all the time. So
I just really like ice cream. That's where that came from.
That's fair.
No, there definitely are, and they're just like as a kid, I was a very picky kid, right? Like,
right.
You couldn't get me to eat a lot of things, and then when college, right? College is a time to experiment and try different things. We had a meal plan, right? And so you paid a flat rate to get into the dining hall, and then you could just eat whatever you wanted, right? Like if I got some sesame chicken over at the Asian station and then I didn't like it, I wasn't married to it, right? I wasn't stuck with only that.
You didn't spend money on it, right?
So in the same way that experience at college allowed me to try a bunch of food and learn to like things that I never would have tried as a young person, like as a kid or a teenager. Yeah, I definitely think that we've tried some games and played some things here with this Xbox Game Pass that I would have definitely not tried if it didn't come up, if it wasn't selected. But then afterwards, yeah, where it's like, all right, like maybe I'm going to give this genre a little bit more consideration than I would have. For example, like card battlers, like I have zero interest in playing like card-based games. I don't want to play them on mobile, don't want to play them on Xbox, don't want to play them at all.
I'm there with you.
But we've played a couple where that's an aspect of the game, but not the whole game. And it's like, okay, when you layer this as just a piece of the game, I'm down for it. In the same way that like I wouldn't play a game that was exclusively like turn-based battles. Like I don't want to play Final Fantasy Tactics, but I love Pokemon, right? So I don't have a problem with like a tactical like turn-based battle. I enjoy that, but I don't want the whole game to be that. So I think it opened my eyes to the idea that it doesn't have to be all or nothing. A lot of these games are blended genres. They're not just one thing. They're, especially with the indie developers, where they'll grab different elements from different genres and kind of slam it all together into something they think tastes good, right? And then it's up to us to decide if we agree.
Yeah, and that's the one thing I think I was hoping that we would get to highlight more was the smaller games, because of course the AAA games that come out on Game Pass, stuff like that, every big media market, whatever conglomerate, whatever they were, IGN and all that stuff, they're going to talk about all those games, right? And they're going to say, oh, they're the best things since sliced bread, or they stink. But like there aren't that many. I didn't feel like there's that much focus on the indie games and stuff like that. And I think we've been pleasantly surprised with a lot of those indie games too. Not saying that there aren't media, like there aren't outlets there that aren't doing indie stuff. 100% there are. But it was just like, I personally haven't given those types of games a shot before, because I'm like, if I were to go to a GameStop or whatever game store and I look at the aisle or look at what's out there, yeah, generally I'll be looking at the AAA games. I'm not going to necessarily look at the bottom rows or whatever it is. So it was like, I was pleasantly surprised on like the Descenders. Like it was just like a biking game, but it was fun. It was it's definitely not a game that I would pick up if I were to go purchase this myself. But I got an opportunity to try it, and that's cool. That's what I really enjoy about this experience, like being able to get that little taste of something else that, I don't think I'll ever find a roguelite that I will like, but that's a different story. but other than that, but again, I think it also helps us reinforce some of the genres that we do like, and be like, okay, I do like this style of game because of X, Y, and Z. Like, I do want a good story. And the other thing, I think it might be a benefit or a crutch or disadvantage. I know a lot of people have said this to us in the past too, is that sometimes they feel like that first hour might not be enough for us to decide like if this game's worthwhile. But like my counterpoint is like, or the other part is like, maybe the developer front loaded a lot of things, and then the rest of the game is absolute junk. So, but like there's going to be that risk, but if you're going to give me a good sense of like accomplishment, a good sense of a good feeling of like, okay, this is what this type of game is, and I don't need to go through 500 tutorials, or like not very good tutorials. I mean, we've had good tutorials. There are good tutorials, and then there are terrible ones where you're reading all of it.
Oh yeah,
and it's like, that's not cool. I think Tom and I are in agreement that if you're going to make a tutorial, if you're going to make a game in that first hour, do a lot of showing. Don't do a lot of telling, because it's important, because you're interacting with something, and I'm not there to read a game. I'm there to play it. So,
right, and I think, like you said, that criticism I don't think is 100% fair either, because especially in the age that we live in today, there are just based on like how media has evolved with the introduction of like social media and all this stuff, is like people's attention spans are like shorter than ever. So really, you don't have a lot of time to grab someone's attention before they're like, I'm not feeling this, and just bouncing to the next thing, especially when there are things like Game Pass that offer so many options that you can just, okay, yeah, I can easily go to the next thing because I don't have any monetary commitment to it. I'm paying a flat rate and I can just go and try something. So unless you're in for like a very specific sort of game, if that's what you're looking for, like I'm 20 hours into Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and they're still popping tutorial text boxes on the screen.
Oh my God, wow.
Yeah, it's rough. But I think it's more important now than ever, unless you're designing that type of game for that type of audience, to be able to grab someone's attention so that they know within a half hour or within that hour time frame if they're going to like it or not. Speaking of which, I'm going to kind of go off the rails here a little bit, off the outline, but one of the games you played for the recent episodes, you actually had the developer kind of tweet at you guys for your review. Could you guys just elaborate a little bit on that?
Honestly, I don't even know what happened there. I just thought it was hilarious. We posted our tweet about the episode being live, which that's the problem I need to be more consistent about now. But and then I just woke up the next morning and I saw that the developer was like, get a load of this guy, like and I was like, wait, what? Like, I thought it was funny. I didn't think, and I messaged a couple of people on Twitter. I was like, I thought this is really hilarious. Like but like it was kind of cool that people were like coming to defend us in a way.
Yeah.
I appreciated that. But at the same time, like I thought like it was a good opportunity for us to have an open dialogue with the developer. Right. Be like, look, like your game was interesting. Like concept looked like something that I really wanted to play, but like it just fell really short, because like if you're going to tell me to do these certain objectives, but then hamstring me with like terrible traversal mechanics, like I'm not there for it, Like, even though they're going to say that there's more to it over the next hour, I'm like, okay, but I don't want to play it for another hour because it just stinks. So, yeah, but I don't know, Tom, if you have anything else to add.
Chris shot me the tweet. So I don't really play too much on social media. I think the people who watch our show know that I don't even want to be on screen at all. So
it's honestly for the best.
Chris manages the lion's share of all that stuff, and then folds me in where when I need to be invested. And this was, again, I agree with you, Chris. Like, I didn't take any offense from the developer. The developer said, "Hey, can anybody let these guys know why the first hour isn't the hour to judge this game by?" And it's like, I think they were looking to rally their own troops, and they maybe excited our little hornet's nest instead.
I was surprised. Yeah, no one from their side actually responded. I was like, oh, okay.
Which is, I mean, that's pretty funny, but. Yeah. I didn't take any offense from it. I just think that, they're a developer. They're proud of their work. You gotta stand up for, something you made, right? And back, and go,
Yeah.
Right. And I don't think by any means you guys were unfair in that episode, but
No.
I do have to say, and I knew once I saw that, I knew you guys were coming on, I wanted to ask you about that because I feel like, you've gotten the developers to respond now. That's like a sign that you've made it, right? The developers, the developers took time to listen to, and you figure too that a developer would welcome any kind of constructive criticism about any of their game, about any time or length that somebody played about it. So if somebody is telling them to be like, hey, like that first hour, isn't great, they would maybe look inward and be like, okay, maybe this is a area that we can improve for like our next game and maybe make it more engaging right on the onset. So that's kind of what I thought about it. But as soon as I saw it, I was kind of like, oh man, this is kind of funny for sure.
Sorry, go ahead, Tom.
I was going to say, I think we try to be as constructive as possible when we're doing our reviews. We try to say, hey, you did this thing really well. Like, you should really do that, and try to, I don't know, we're talking to the wind sometimes, but, be like, do this, do the show, don't tell, this was a great, execution of a tutorial. I wish everybody would do this, It's me, Chris and I think just kind of talking it through and having our own opinion about it. But I do think that it is meant, at least from the two of us, to be constructive. We want anybody who's maybe a potential designer or something who might be listening to our show, like, these are the things you should copy and these are the things you shouldn't copy,
Right. Yeah. And we try to keep it as positive as possible. And we're not just like immediately bashing a game or whatnot. I know I talk a lot about roguelikes and stuff like that, but it's just that's not a designer. That is just the genre as a whole. So whoever decided to make that whole genre needs to go think real long and hard or whatever it is. So that's a different story.
And even when we review a roguelike, you still have to come up with some likes, Chris, right?
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
part of the deal.
Right. Absolutely.
Every review is balanced. We're going to have things that we like and we're going to have things that we dislike. And I think that if one day we came out together and had 0 likes on the page, we'd have a problem. We'd have a problem as a show where we'd have to go like, really? You didn't like anything about this? That seems unlikely.
Right.
And if you're doing first person shooters, put your feet in there, please.
Yeah, right. The feet. It's right.
It's like, just come on.
I want to be able to look down and see that I have feet. Like, please. I need to know.
Especially if you're going to be a game that you're traversing stuff. Please.
I just need to know that I'm not a floating hands and a gun, please. For my emotional psyche, I need that, please. No, I was going to say, I don't, like I said, I've listened to a ton of you guys' episodes, and there was never one where I was just like, oh my God, these guys are completely nuking this game. Like, not at all. And you guys really do a good job of kind of coming at it from both ends, be like, hey, these are the elements we did like, these are the elements we didn't like. And, not every game is for everybody. And that's perfectly fine. You're allowed to dislike something. You're allowed to like something and share your opinions on the internet without getting yelled at. Although apparently the developers don't think that, but speaking of a spirited defense, the one thing I did see coming from that the developer thing was that the guys over at Quit the Build jumped to your guys' defense, and it was like a multi-tiered like response to the developer, which I thought was really fantastic. Another show that I love, Quit the Build. I wanted to ask you guys, because you guys are kind of part of the Quit the Build network. And I wanted to ask, how did that partnership come about, and what has that partnership been working with like Nick and Bruno and those guys over there at Quit the Build?
Yeah, it's they reached out to us like very early on.
Okay,
I think we were maybe their second or third interview on their show and stuff like that. So it was really cool. They seemed like a great bunch of guys, and they had kind of pitched the idea of them like creating this network and building like a whole thing there. And like, it just seemed interesting. I was like, okay, Tom and I discussed it, and we discussed it with them, and it was, it seemed like it fit pretty well with what we're doing. It's been good so far. They've been, as you saw with the tweets, pretty supportive of things that we're doing.
Yeah.
And Yeah, like it's we've been doing some cool stuff with them. We've got some ad sponsorships, stuff like that through them, and it's been good. It's been a good partnership, good relationship with the guys. They're super cool, super chill guys. So happy to work with them.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it definitely seems like that. I believe it has Nick asked you to come sing on TikTok at all yet?
No way.
Okay, I was gonna say I've seen all of those, and those are very, very popular. It seems.
Yeah.
I just thought that was funny. I was like, man,
I got to give him credit for being able to come up with those things like that. Like he's on it. Nick is like one of the hardest working people I've ever seen. Like with this social media stuff.
It's incredibly creative. I was like, I couldn't do this even if I tried. It's so insane. No, that's cool. I just wanted to kind of ask you guys how that came about, because like I'm a fan of that show too, and I think it was probably that interview like with them that kind of turned me on to like what you guys were doing when I listened to. So, yeah, maybe if you can put in a good word, I can get them on the show as well. Maybe just
I mean, for sure.
Appreciate it for sure. So like you guys have said, you guys have been doing this 89-ish episodes. You know, it's a decent amount of time for sure. Do you have any kind of favorite experiences, things that stick out to you so far, like things that you have really liked about doing the show, or specific instances where you're like, wow, like that was just really cool. We never thought that would kind of happen to us, like getting yelled at by a developer, for instance.
I mean, like recently, I'll say that was probably one of the highlights of this year. You know, like just meeting like really cool people along the way, like yourself, Eric, and just connecting. No, I'm being honest, like, and being able to like really talk about games and stuff like that with people that are just like-minded, and getting that kind of sharing that experience with each other, and also like, you know, shooting the, am I allowed to curse on this? Shooting the shit.
Go for
it. Shooting the shit on about like how you produce your stuff, and you know, getting tips and stuff like that. You know, it's been I think it's been pretty rewarding for myself, getting to know everyone that I've met so far. So
I'll take a little bit of a different tact. I very much enjoy my time with Chris. I'm glad that I got that back in a way.
That's so wholesome. I love it.
Because you know, honestly, without the show, the two of us had lost touch. Yeah. As you noted earlier, the only reason we got back into communication is because he tore this thing down, and I got a notification that one of my children out on the internet was taken away. And I said, "Wait, who did this?" Oh, it was you, Chris. Okay, then I guess it's okay.
Yeah,
right.
and then you know, but I enjoyed, you know, spending that time with Chris. You know, the prep stuff that we do, and the recording. And, you know, besides recording the half-hour show, we also, you know, talk. We talk about stuff we were playing. We talk about, you know, each other's lives and what we're up to. So it's, you know, I got my college buddy back, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's true. It's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Friends.
On the actual show, I very much enjoyed doing those brackets that we did.
Yes,
they're fun because I like how fast they have to be. Yeah. I want them to be faster. Like it's like, no, go. Like, yes or no, pick one.
Yeah.
I'm a very indecisive person. So being forced into a situation where I have to make a decision very quickly is a challenge, but I like the format that we set up for those things. And I like that it forces me to make a really quick decision. So.
You're right. We do need to make one of those again.
We're running up against it. Yeah, it'll be time to do another one soon.
Definitely looking forward to that. But no, I appreciate that answer. I mean, basically, the last couple episodes of Unlockables, like I said, been on Kingdom Hearts. So my show is basically sponsored by the power of friendship. So I love that answer a lot. That is absolutely fantastic. And Chris, to your point too, yeah, it's always kind of a sketchy thing when you want to talk about video games and things that you love on the internet. Because people can be very mean, but I've found that our kind of general intersecting podcasting circle of friends / collaborators, has been genuinely like very cool, very chill people to talk to. I don't know if that's just the nature of like, hey, we all identify with each other because we all have podcasts, and it's something that we can talk about that kind of binds us all together. But for the most part, and like I said, I don't see everybody's friend circles that interact, but I haven't seen anybody like lighting each other up on our corner of the internet here. And I hope that it stays that way because it's actually really nice.
I was just like thinking about, like, as you were saying that right now, you know, I don't see, at least in the circle that we run in right now, like, there's no one that's like a very extreme fanboy of a particular, manufacturer of these consoles and stuff like that. So like, it's nice to have like an even keel, like, opinion about things, and being able to have a discussion. Whereas like, you could see some of those Twitter discussions out there, which I try to avoid. Yeah. It's like, ugh, no way. Like that, like just the toxicity that's there. It's like, it's gross. And like, I'm glad that like, we've kind of surrounded ourselves with people that aren't that toxic.
Yeah, and it, especially too with kind of everything that you mentioned, like the stuff happening between Sony and Microsoft specifically. I can't imagine what we would be seeing in our circle if we had somebody that ran a really hard pro Xbox and a really hard pro PlayStation podcast with everything going on here. That would get kind of messy for sure. So just to be able to kind of like watch it from the middle is really enjoyable. And even so, like, some of us have disagreements about the things that we like and things that we are good, but we don't crucify each other for it.
No.
And that's, I think, something that is desperately needed on the internet as a whole, is to not like massacre people for having differing opinions. So I agree with you guys on that 100%. That's been really great. When you have people like myself, I try to shout out the show every week because it's become part of my weekly routine and I love it so much. But when you have people that come listen to the show, what is there anything particular, producing the show, doing the show, planning it, that you hope they take away from listening to an episode of 1 Hour, One Decision?
I mean, just like for me, it's just being able to, if you're interested in this particular game, get in, listen to us blabber about it for a little bit, and get out, like, and make your own decision at the end of the day. But these are two opinions of two people that have played games most of their lives, and are trying new things too, potentially trying new things. So I think it's just like giving you the, like, maybe that's the most important thing, is like, at least just go out there and try things. Like, don't always just be pigeonholed into playing Fortnite or Call of Duty, whatever it is. Like, try something else that's out there. And maybe you'll be surprised like us.
Yeah. I hope that people realize, whether it's Game Pass or any other thing, like there are a lot of games out there. And if you put your blinders on and only play the one or two franchises that you enjoy, and that's all that you ever play, you're missing out on a lot of stuff, a lot of really great stuff.
Yeah.
So, maybe you don't have a lot of time, and so that's why you only stick to those two franchises, because you like them, and so that's where you're going to live. But if there's something available to you like Xbox Game Pass, which is a really great value and opens up this this avenue for you to really explore and try a lot of different things, like, give a game an hour, see if you like it, Or if you don't want to give it an hour, give our show 22 minutes and see if that makes you want to give the game an hour,
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard you guys have talked about so many games on your show that I didn't even know existed. So your show's very existence alone has put things on my radar that I didn't even realize I knew about. And yeah, I was going to say that's been the main thing that I've taken away from like listening to episodes of your guys' show is that it's okay. We have the tools now more than ever to be able to try and experience different things for relatively minimal cost, which that used to be the barrier to entry and used to be why we used to stick to things that we knew, because it's like, if I'm spending money on this, I know I like this already. So there's less risk of me not liking it and feeling like I wasted the money. But because we have all these tools and these things, like you guys especially have encouraged me to, step outside my box, outside my comfort zone, and just see the different types of experiences that people are making, people are creating. And that ultimately has kind of influenced me listening to you guys and other podcasters as a whole to, just try different things. I've played and completed more games and different types of games this year than any other year, I think. This has been the most diverse year. I'm 31 years old of games that I've ever played in my entire life. Thanks to you guys and all of our other podcasting friends just talking about all these different games. So I just wanted you guys to know that that's personally what I take away from you guys' show, and I'm very grateful for it. And for the the amount of information you guys deliver in such a bite-sized formula when like I'm out here putting out 2-hour episodes on JRPGs and every single one of Dave's episodes is 2.5 to 3 hours long. Shout out to you, Dave. I love you very much. But
I mean, Dave does a good. He's just so in depth. It's incredible.
He's very in depth. But I would say that you guys deliver so much information in such a compact amount of time that it's just as useful. So I just want to thank you guys for that. I do have I kind of want to get the scoop. I love to get the scoop if people are coming on the show. I just kind of want to know, what is the future trajectory of 1 Hour 1 Decision? You guys have a formula that works great. You have a routine. You have things you like to do. So are we just to the stars, keep going forward with what we got, or is there anything, some maybe fun ideas you guys are playing with that might switch up the formula a little bit?
I mean, Tom and I have talked about it, like expanding it outside of Game Pass.
Okay.
Like doing things like, I know Tom's interested in like playing retro games, stuff like that. And
yes.
Even potentially, even like shows, like watching the first episode of a show. Is that enough to pull you into the thing?
Oh, yeah.
Like I don't know, just something like that. We've kind of spitballed things like that. And of course we throw a wrench into the thing every now and then by doing the bracket episodes, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it breaks things up a little bit there, but this at least has kept us pretty consistent. So for us to add new things would be a little bit more adjusting into our weekly lives. So, we have a decent thing going, at least right now. So, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I definitely have mentioned in the past on other interviews and talking with Chris that like I have a lot of retro games that I would like to try in the same way that the Game Pass offers that avenue to you. I think that there's a lot of, TV shows sound cool. Maybe not so much for me because I have this problem. Like if I start a TV show, I kind of, maybe if it's just the first episode, it'd be okay. But like I have this thing with passive entertainment that like if I start something, I'm like on the hook. And I might watch it to completion even if I don't enjoy it. And so that's a dangerous thing for me to start, is to start a bunch of shows and then I'm stuck watching them. Like I'm stuck watching She-Hulk right now. I'm not enjoying it, but I've already watched the first 3 episodes. So here we are. I'm on for 8 or whatever they are, whatever it comes to. I'm going to be watching all of it. Maybe it'll get better. Maybe I'll like it by the end. Or maybe it'll be like The Big Bang Theory and I liked the first 4 seasons and then was stuck for, another 10 or whatever it was.
I'm right there with you at the Marvel shows. I'm a few episodes away from being done with Miss Marvel, and then I'm on to She-Hulk. I'm just kind of like, I don't know if I'm enjoying these as much as I should. So, but I'm like feel committed, so I can't stop.
Yeah, it's like you've put all this time into Marvel. If you've watched all the movies and like I have, and you've watched all the shows like I have, now it's like there's like this foregone conclusion that you're going to have to just keep watching all of them until they stop.
Right, exactly. I've invested too much time. I cannot quit.
Yeah. It's a sunk cost or whatever. Like I'm stuck now.
Exactly. Yeah, I guess the thing I was looking for is I was asking. It's not just like a Game Pass specific show. Like if all of a sudden Sony's PlayStation Plus tier, whatever confusing ass thing they put out, becomes like viable, is there like a PlayStation 1 hour one decision where you start to maybe look at some PlayStation games or something?
Possibly.
I don't think that's out of the question. I honestly tend to gravitate more towards Sony than Microsoft, which may surprise people who listen to the show. But the fact is, really, ever since getting Game Pass and starting this show with Chris, I spend way more time on my Xbox than I do on my PlayStation. And so, at
least an hour more a week. So.
Yes, at least an hour more a week. Guaranteed. 52 guaranteed hours a year.
I think Microsoft take that for sure.
So, I do spend a lot of time playing Nintendo titles also, just because that's, again, as I said, that's where I started playing video games. So I do tied to that. I enjoy that.
I'm right there with you. That's where I started as well. But if I would think that Sony's whatever thing they have going on over there needs to be a little more understandable before like, hey, make it as simple as Game Pass. Just put it out. Come on. What are we doing here? But to end it on a final question about the show, and I always kind of ask people because a lot of people have such amazing, incredible, different experiences with podcasting. If someone was to ask you, I want to start a podcast, like what advice would you give to somebody that would want to do, not necessarily like what you guys do, but just would want to do like a podcast about something kind of video games or what they love in general?
Well, you go ahead, Tom.
Okay. Couple of things. I would say first, and then no disparaging remarks to you on this one, but find somebody that you really enjoy spending time with and get that person involved, because it makes this a lot less like work and a lot more like hanging out with your buddy. And it's a lot easier to schedule hangout time with your buddy than it is to schedule work.
It is.
I would say, try to find a topic or something that's broad enough that you're not going to run out of content like immediately. Like I could probably do a podcast about Star Wars because I love Star Wars so much and I have such a deep reservoir of knowledge about it. But I don't know who I would have be my co-host on that. And I don't know if we would have enough content, just because of, the difference between being able to play a different game every week on Xbox, which, the limit, there's no limit, to this. Whereas like how much new Star Wars content is really coming out at any given point in time. It's like, okay, there's a new show. Oh, there's a new movie or something, maybe a new video game or whatever, but there's not as much content there that's new and relevant in the same way that Game Pass is. So pick something broad, pick somebody fun to do it with, and I think set a set of rules and stick to them, because if you could very quickly end up, in a Peter Molyneux type situation where you've got all these dreams,
right?
And none of them come to fruition. Start small, make a plan, make an outline, set rules for yourself and stick to them, and then iterate. Right? Make the first episode, figure out what was good, figure out what was bad, figure out how you could do it better, make a second episode, and don't worry about episode 100. Because you probably won't get there.
Tom, we're almost there. Come on, don't say that.
Jeez, yeah,
but
11 more to go, baby.
Look, you asked a question, and I'm going to answer it honestly. I think that's another one too. Is be honest. Be honest with yourself, right?
Right.
And with what you're trying to accomplish. yes, Chris and I are going to reach episode 100. But if you had asked us at the beginning of this, hey guys, what are you going to do for episode 100? And I would have said, there's no way we're getting to episode 100. The last show didn't get to episode 5.
Yeah. Right.
It's true. So, yeah, but I mean, just to piggyback off of Tom, 100%, like all the stuff that he said, I would agree on. Outlines are important. Consistency is important because like you like if you do it and then like just like with anything in life, right? Working out, whatever it is, like anything that you want to learn as a new skill, like if you just like do it once and then drop it for a couple of weeks, you're not gonna really learn anything from it. And I feel like I've learned a lot like from like the backstage stuff, right? So learning how to manage like the audio stuff and like editing and stuff like that, and like trying to just, before I was like so obsessed with like getting the ums and the ahs and like all that stuff removed from my episodes. Yeah. And it's like, I'm like, people don't really care that much about it. But I will say, and this is why I asked you before we started the show, if your audio quality does need to be good though, because if you sound like you're in a toilet bowl, people are just going to tune you out immediately. Like decent, like get yourself set up with like a decent set, like a decent mic or whatever it is, and a decent system to do the recording. Like we started off with Zoom, and then we happened to find Zencastr here, which has worked pretty well for us for the most part. We've had some issues I think you've had before as well, when we had like guests and stuff that come on where there's like audio delays and stuff like that, but you'll figure it out. But yeah, and have fun with it. Like this isn't like, if you're going into it thinking that you're going to make money or something like that, you're probably in it for the wrong reasons. Just like really just try to enjoy it and take the feedback. Like find critical people if you can, and and be ready to have a little bit of a thicker skin every once in a while too. So
I agree, and I think those are great points. And Tom, your point is really well received. Like you should find somebody that you enjoy spending time with and would love to do it with, which is why I do it by myself, because I enjoy spending time by myself. And I love myself. So that awesome. Is the whole reason. No, all of those things. Yeah, I agree with you guys 100% on those. And the first steps are the hardest to take, obviously. But when you establish that routine and you do it a couple times, each subsequent time it becomes easier. And like before you know it, then it's just, oh, that's what it is now. And it feels comfortable to do. And then when you do miss something, then it feels uncomfortable. And it's like, I don't like that. I have to be consistent. So I appreciate you guys sharing that advice with me, with anybody that might be listening. And I appreciate you just coming on and talking a little bit about your guys' show. Like I said, I've been a fan for since episode 40, and I'll eventually get back and listen to those earlier episodes because I want to listen to all of them, and I love the show. It's part of my weekly routine now. And
don't listen to episode 1; it's complete trash.
Okay. All right, I'll listen to all of except episode.
I mean, you can see how, like, I mean, for example, like the audio stuff has been something I've been trying to obsess over, and like, yeah, you can listen to the first one; it was like complete garbage, and now like I think we've gotten a little bit better with how we're getting audio in and like me tweaking things in Audacity and stuff like that. So
I think unless you have a professional show that is produced for you, I would say that everybody's episode 1 is probably literally the worst thing you'll ever hear ever. So when you put out episode 1, just know like it's going to be bad. Don't be ashamed. It's okay. You will get better because all of 100%. Us have gotten better.
I want to quickly, I agree with you. And, if you watch a show like Critical Role, and it's like amazing and like the production is great, but go watch like their first episode, that was hosted on Geek and Sundry, or what. It's like they have no stage production. It's just, it's just them, talking. And so
I've listened to the first podcast episode that's available of that. Yeah. With Geek and Sundry. And it's kind of hard to listen to, even
exactly.
And looking back like 3 or 4 years, and obviously they're so successful now, you're like, wow, they came from this to build something that's so successful. So yeah, just keep at it. Your first stuff's always going to be rough, but you learn and you get better. So, and even if you say you can't, I am the most technologically challenged person. Like I critique myself so hard, and even I feel like I've gotten better. So if I can do it, literally anybody on this planet can do it. And I hope you take courage and inspiration away from that for sure. But I appreciate you guys sharing a little bit about the show. Before we wrap up, I'm just going to kind of wrap in the end of the outline here in kind of one question. Since we do have video game podcasts, I just would like to ask, do you guys have a specific game or certain games that you would consider quote unquote like maybe your favorite of all time, or a group of games that mean a lot to you?
My favorite game of all time, Chris already knows the answer to this, is Chrono Trigger for the Super Nintendo.
Amazing. That's a great pick.
And if you think that a Final Fantasy game is better than that, you're wrong. There's some debate there.
Yep.
But I'll die on that hill. And generally speaking, it's interesting because like if you came at me with the Chrono Trigger today, right? If we played the next Chrono Trigger on Game Pass, would I love it? Would I love it in that first hour? I don't know that I would, right? I don't know if it would pass our test.
Interesting.
But I could tell you, maybe it would if I saw a Frog Knight, in the art. But yeah, I love that game. It not unsurprisingly comes from that time in my life where you're like 12, 13 years old. I think your favorite thing is probably from that time period, no matter who you are or what it is.
Right.
That adolescent time is when you're figuring out who you are, and you have infinite time to devote to things. So
to have that back, I would kill for it. I mean, I wouldn't kill for it. I wouldn't say that on the podcast, but
too late.
Too late.
So that's my singular favorite game. If you put a gun to my head and said, Tom, what's your favorite video game? It's Chrono Trigger. I have Chrono Trigger art on the wall over here. If you were looking for more like a franchise type situation, it's probably Pokemon. Just in terms of a series of games where I've played every single one. I will continue to play them, and not because I feel like I'm forced to, because I genuinely want to.
Right.
I think that's probably it for me. How about you, Chris?
I've talked about it before. Sam & Max Hit the Road is like a game that I've like.
Okay.
Still to this day enjoy. I just recently bought it again on Steam to replay it and beat it again. So I was happy about that. But if I were to think of like a game a little bit further into our lives, franchise wise, probably Splinter Cell. I love that series. That was I still need to beat Blacklist though. I do need to beat that game. What do you call it? And also the not the original. I mean, the original Prince of Persia was good, but when they did the Prince of Persia, like Ubisoft did that,
right?
I loved that game. That game was like it was so cool, like messing with time, and the music in that game was just like it just like, and also the fact that it was like it wasn't your typical setting, right? It was like in like in the Arabian Nights kind of thing setting, and like and it was just cool to be able to kind of see that kind of representation in a game at the time. So yeah, that's probably what I'd say right now.
Ubisoft needs to hurry up. I know we've heard rumors on the horizon forever on that Prince of Persia remake. Like that's like what's
holding up? Like a million times.
You finished your pirate game that's been in development for 14 years. Let's go. It's time to do Prince of Persia. Like we've got a jillion Assassin's Creeds in that time. Please do something with your older franchises.
Beyond Good and Evil. Where's that going?
Exactly. Come on.
Dead. Like
it's probably dead. But Ubisoft, like I will tweet at you. Respond to me on Twitter. Yeah. Prince of Persia, let's go. Like it's time. It's time. No, those actually, are all great picks.
I'm curious about your game.
Mine? Oh, yeah. Like Tom said, yeah, about that age of like adolescence is the most influential. And during those times, I played my first ever RPG, which was Final Fantasy IX. Absolute big one. That is to this day my favorite game of all time. And then the Kingdom Hearts franchise means a great deal to me. So if I was to do game and franchise, it'd probably be those two. And then there's a bevy of other titles that are very influential. Super Mario World, the first game I ever played. Love that game so much. The Intelligent Systems games, Advance Wars, Fire Emblem on the GBA. I love those games to death. Monster Hunter World, a more recent title. That game completely changed my perspective on everything video games, despite the fact that you just fight dinosaurs with giant swords. But hey, yeah, those are just, and then more recent modern one, Breath of the Wild for sure was huge. I didn't like Zelda before Breath of the Wild. I actually didn't. I thought it was overrated, and I played Breath of the Wild, and now I love Zelda. So, yeah, there's just a couple of them for me. I do realize, Tom, isn't this month a big anniversary for Chrono Trigger? I believe is it like 30 years now, or? I thought someone said it was an anniversary or something.
It came out in 1995, so it can't be 30 years. That math.
Okay. Yeah, I thought somebody, because I just know a lot of our friends are doing Chrono Trigger episodes this month, so I was like, oh, it must be some kind of anniversary or something. So, unfortunately, that's a huge blind spot for me. As much as I love RPGs, I have not played Chrono Trigger, and I regret it deeply. As well as Splinter Cell and Prince of Persia, two games I've also missed out, two series I've also missed out on. So I think I have some homework to do. So.
You could wait for the remake of Chrono Trigger that'll never happen.
Which at this point, with how much we have remakes and remasters, I almost don't know if I would want that. If something's a masterpiece, like leave it alone. Like really, like. Bring it forward so I can play it on modern hardware, but just don't mess with it.
I kid because I don't know that I would like a remake of Chrono Trigger.
It's are you about to defile my childhood for money? It's like, yes, you are. But no, I feel like that's one I would love because, like I said, I grew up with Dragon Ball, Akira Toriyama, and Square. Like that's two things I love very much. I feel like I would love that game. So I need to bump that up my backlog for sure. Yeah. Do you guys have any other points or anything else you'd like to say? We're getting towards the end of the episode here, so.
No, again, just I really appreciate you having us on the show. I think you have a great podcast here as well.
Thank you.
I did get to listen to that Monster Hunter episode, and it got me going again to potentially get back into the game. I did go back and play it a little bit, and then I was like, wow, I really stink at this game, and then I turned it off immediately. So
if it makes you feel any better, I've played World and Iceborne probably a combined like 500 hours, and I'm still terrible at it. So don't feel bad. Don't feel bad at all. But thank you. And like I said, I know we were working at this a couple weeks to try and get everyone's schedules to align. I know you guys are very busy, so the fact that you guys were able to carve out a little bit of time tonight to join me on the show really means a lot to me. And thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate it. I usually reserve the end of the episode to give to you guys, and I say, shill whatever you like to shill. If you're recruiting for a cult, if you're selling alternative medicine, that's totally fine. You guys can say whatever you want here on the end of the episode.
Really?
Yeah, I hadn't considered a cult, but now, now that you put the idea in my head,
we did have a little bit of a cult helping us with the Umurangi generation developer, but no, we'll leave that to that.
That's how it starts.
Yeah. No, but again, thank you so much, and you could check out our episodes as Tom mentioned earlier. Our episodes drop every Wednesday evening around 10 p.m. on most podcast platforms, I believe, at this point. So Spotify, Apple, Anchor, you name
Amazon.
it, Google, whatever. And then and we're on YouTube. We're on the QGB channel on YouTube, and we drop our episodes there roughly the same time. So you can kind of watch us talk about the games and our playthroughs as well, sped up because it's an hour, and then our episodes are under 30 minutes. So
right.
But whatever. It's just so you don't have to look at us all the time. So that's fine. And yeah, and we're on Twitter at TC1H1D, and we play our games on Twitch at twitch.tv/1H1D, and I think that's everything. We don't have a Patreon because I don't think we have
not yet.
Yeah, not yet. We'll see.
I have ideas for that. But
do you?
We'll discuss
Let's go.
That. Okay,
let's go.
Offline.
All right. Well, yeah. That's. Let me know when that comes about. I'll definitely be there to sign up for sure. But yeah, I will. I'll link all of the stuff that you mentioned in the show notes in the description. So if you are listening, watching the show, you can easily find them. I highly recommend it. I always assumed, I didn't know you guys' episodes came out so late on Wednesday. I always saw them Thursday morning when I wake up. But since I do know they're on Wednesday, I just got to shout out Wednesday is a killer day for podcasts.
Well, we didn't realize this, honestly. We didn't know that Wednesday was
it's
hot.
So good. Not only is there 1 hour, one decision, and there's a little show called Unlockables that you might have heard of. There's Tales from the Backlog, Between Two Gamers, Deleted Saves. Like Wednesday's a stacked day for podcasting. A bunch of people that have been on the show before. So yeah, definitely tune in Wednesdays for some great podcast action. But all their stuff we linked in the description. I'm not going to show my social medias. It's always in the description of the episode where you guys can find me, Twitter, all that good stuff. And I don't know, I lost my intro a couple episodes ago because I was inadvertently copying somebody. So I guess I'll just say, for Tom, Chris, 1 hour, one decision, again, thank you guys so much for joining me. Everybody out there listening, appreciate you listening, and have a good day.
Thanks, everybody.
See ya.